Hi, it's Steph, and we're at the Home Depot, and they've received a new shipment of spring inventory. So let's go ahead and check it out. We'll start here with this beautiful spring blooming perennial called Columbine or Aquilegia. This one has a more compact or dainty flower, but they come in different sizes and varieties, and even after the flower is spent, it has really beautiful foliage. Now this variety here is called Columbine Winky Double Dark Blue and White. And this is also a pollinator attracting plant. It attracts hummingbirds. It's a part sun perennial. It blooms mid-spring to mid-summer. And of course, the way to keep your perennials blooming is if you deadhead them, meaning once the blooms are spent, you cut them down to the base of the stem, you will potentially get more blooms shooting up from the plant. The height on these is 14 to 20 inches in height, and you need to give them 8 to 10 inch spacing. They are hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this year they're doing the same thing they did last year here at Home Depot, where they're offering these larger containers of plants. This here is a 3-gallon. Now, the 3-gallon is $19.98, and you could buy the 3-gallon and divide it into a couple of different plants, but they have some other options for smaller containers. So let's take a look at those. Now this is a different variety of Columbine or Aquilegia because this one has a bigger bloom, also very beautiful. And this one here comes in what looks to be just shy of a 1-gallon container for $9.98. This variety here is called Kirigami Light Blue and White. It gets to be 16 to 18 inches in height and needs 12-inch spacing, hardy to negative 40 degrees, and blooms late spring through summer. Same beautiful foliage. So here's your next option, stepping down from the $19.98. If you just wanted to start with one of these, this one is more affordable at $9.98. And they have yet another option. So this is the same variety as the last one we looked at, same type of bloom, and this one here is $5.98. So 3 different sizes to pick from. While the bigger Columbine was a little bit different style, still all Columbine at different price points in a beautiful spring blooming perennial. Here's another variety in this rosy pink color, and this is about a 1-gallon container for $9.98. This one's called Kim Mommy Rose and White with that pretty yellow center. Now this is another really beautiful perennial and one that I've been interested in for some time. It's called Foam Flower or Foamy Bells, and it's a spring blooming plant. The foliage almost looks like a heuchera or a tiarella, and then you get these spikes of these foamy or spike type blooms. Really beautiful. It's almost like an off-white with a little bit of a peach before it opens up. Really, really pretty. And then there's this variety here that does look like a peachy pink. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. So this peachy pink variety is called Foamy Bells Pink Revolution. It's a part sun perennial. This is a 3-gallon container for $19.98. It gets to be 16 to 18 inches in height, needs 20-inch spacing, water when dry, and hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And it blooms late spring through summer. But the great thing about these types of plants are that even once your blooms are gone and you cut the stems off, you still have this foliage accent. The variety is also perennial for part sun. It is the Foam Flower Tiarella cordifolia Spring Symphony. It gets to be 7 to 10 inches in height, but of course it gets taller once you see the bloom spikes. And you need 12-inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms mid-spring. Now, anytime that you see flowers in bloom at the garden center, they are a little ahead of your season because these have been growing in a greenhouse. So next year in your garden, it might bloom a little later than when you purchase them. Tickseed or Coreopsis. This is a wonderful long blooming pollinator attracting perennial. It has these little yellow blooms and they come in different colors. They've come in different shades of yellow. I have a light yellow called Moonbeam, and then this one's a bit more golden yellow. I've also seen them in shades of pink with some red, many different varieties. So this is a full sun perennial. called Nana. It's $19.98 for this 3-gallon container. It gets to be 6 to 8 inches in height and 6 to 8 inch spacing. And they are hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. They bloom early spring through summer. Really good option if you're building a pollinator garden. And these here have tons of blooms and lots of buds that aren't yet opened up. A variety of French lilac called Ludwig Spaeth, and it already has lots of foliage on it. Most of the lilacs haven't yet leafed out in my area, but this one of course came probably from a bit of a warmer region or a greenhouse, and it also has some blooms. And actually there's one across the way that's starting to open up, so we'll take a look at that. Look at this beautiful bloom. I wish that you could smell this. Amazing. So let's check out the specs on this variety. So this is a full sun shrub. It is deer resistant, always a bonus in my book. It gets to be 18 to 15 foot tall or feet tall, so pretty good size. And it blooms mid-spring. You need to give it 6 to 12 feet spacing. Hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And this lilac here is in a number 3 or 3-gallon container for $29.98. If you're sick of adding mulch to your garden each year, start considering planting some ground covers. This variety here is called ajuga, and there are many different varieties of ajuga, also known as buggleweed, and this one here is called Bronze Beauty. It is a part sun ground cover, and in the spring you get these beautiful purple, they're almost like a violet purple bloom spike. Really pretty. And the rest of the year it'll just be a low growing foliage type ground cover that will sprawl and cover your ground in place of, say, a mulch. So this one here, the Bronze Beauty, it blooms in early to late spring. It gets to be 6 inches tall and it needs 12-inch spacing. Hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And these here are $9.98. Here's another great option for a ground cover. This one is a sedum. And what's great about this is you can use it in a rock garden or somewhere where it doesn't get a lot of water, and it would still do great because it's a sedum. And this variety is called Blue Spruce Stonecrop. Now I have a yellow one in my garden called Angelina, and it does absolutely wonderfully. It does get these little tiny blooms on them that look to be yellow. This container here looks about a quart size for $5.98. And it says it gets 6 to 10 inches in height. It needs 12-inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms early to late summer. Some ice plant, also another succulent type ground cover plant. Really tiny blooms, but really pretty. These are $5.98, and they get 2 to 3 inches in height, 12 to 24 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms late spring through mid-fall. Comes in yellow as well. And all of the quart perennials are part of their spring Black Friday sale, and they have 3 for $12. That would mean that this columbine or aquilegia that we looked at before in these quart containers would also be 3 for $12, making this a really good price point for these. Rhododendron Nova Zembla. I actually have this one in my garden. It's a really beautiful fuchsia colored bloom, and it blooms late spring to early summer. Rhododendron is a part sun shrub, and they get to be this variety here, 5 to 6 feet tall and wide, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is a number 3 container for $39.98. But it looks really healthy, has nice big broad leaves, and tons of buds, so this would still bloom for you this year. They have some inkberry holly, and hollies are a great alternative to boxwood. And this one here, the inkberry holly shamrock, it says that it needs sun, so it's also evergreen and deer resistant, which is a great feature if you deal with deer in your garden. So this one here is hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 34 degrees Celsius, and it gets to be 7 to 9 feet tall and 9 to 10 feet wide. Has an upright habit. Let's see, how much are these inkberry hollies? So these are number 3 containers, and they are $27.98. Here's a beautiful spirea. This one has golden foliage, and this is called the Proven Winners Double Play Gold Spirea. Now these have this beautiful golden foliage, and they'll put on these fuchsia pink blooms, and it is also compact. So if you have a smaller space in your garden that you want to tuck a shrub into, this would be a great option. So the double play gold spirea is a sun to part sun shade, hardy in zones 3 through 8, or negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 40 degrees Celsius, and it gets to be 1.5 to 2 feet tall and wide. It looks like it blooms in probably late spring or early summer. And these are, let's see, 2-gallon containers for $29.98. Look at that beautiful gold foliage. They have some of these large 3-gallon containers of Dianthus for $19.98. These have really pretty blue-gray foliage and these little carnation type blooms. And this Dianthus is a full sun perennial. It is deer resistant. It blooms early spring to fall. It gets to be 4 to 10 inches in height, and of course taller with the bloom spikes. But the height you see here is with the foliage when the blooms are not there. And it needs 10-inch spacing, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Now again, these big 3-gallon containers, you can split these right out of the container into 2, 3, maybe even 4 plants. When done carefully, usually they're successful. Keep them watered when you transplant them. And yeah, so they are a little bit bigger, which means you're paying a little bit more, but you do have the option to divide them if you wanted to. They have some endless summer hydrangeas, and this variety here is called Bloomstruck. Now these are the macrophylla or macrophylla type mophead hydrangeas. These are the ones that bloom on old wood. Old wood means that the wood from last year is where your blooms from this year will appear. So here you can see that it's starting to leaf out already. Now the color of these types of hydrangeas will be largely dependent on the type of soil that you have. If you have a more acidic soil, they will be more blue. And if you have a more alkaline soil, they will be more pink purple. So this Bloomstruck variety here needs morning sun or partial shade. It gets to be 3 to 4 feet in height and 4 to 5 feet in width. Hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit or zone 4. And these are, let's see, they're a 3-gallon container for $34.98. Some more columbine or equilegia, and look how beautiful these are. They look like tiny little rosettes. Absolutely beautiful. This is the Columbine Winky Double Red and White, part sun perennial. These are also 3 gallons for $19.98. Bloom mid-spring through summer. Height 14 to 20 inches in height, 8 to 10 inch spacing, hardy to negative 40 degrees. Little Lime Punch. This is the first time that I'm seeing the Little Lime Punch Proven Winner shrub in garden centers. What happens is when Proven Winners pushes out a new shrub, typically it goes to independent nurseries first, and then maybe a year later you'll see them at the box stores such as Home Depot and Lowe's. And that is the case with this Little Lime Punch. First year I'm seeing him at the box store garden centers. So the Little Lime Punch says that it has packs a lot of beauty into a small package. Lush full blooms start green and age to vivid pinks and reds atop sturdy stems. So this one here is a more compact type hydrangea. It is a paniculata type hydrangea similar to the Little Limes. This one here gets to be 3 to 5 foot tall and wide, hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8. Down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is a sun or part shade shrub and blooms in summer. It actually has beautiful color from summer through fall. It goes through these different variations of color. They usually start out this color here, the creamy with a little bit of green, and as they age they go through these different colors before ending like a mauve pink in the fall. And these panicula type hydrangeas can tolerate sun a lot better than the mophead or the macrophylla, which definitely need a shade situation. And these here, let's see, they are a 3-gallon container for $34.98. Pulmonaria. Lungwort is the other name of this plant, and it gets these beautiful little dainty pink and purple, almost a hint of blue, the purple, blooms in early spring. Now these are a shade to part shade type plant, and they have it here in full sun, but it seems to be handling it. I don't know how long it's been out here. The soil is moist, so I'm sure that is helping. And so this is a shade perennial. It's called Lungwort Twinkle Toes, and it attracts hummingbirds. Hummingbirds typically like any type of bloom that is shaped this way, like a little trumpet type bloom, because they can get their beak in there. So this variety here, let's check it out. It says blooms early to mid-spring, and it gets to be 12 to 14 inches in height, and it needs 16 to 18 inch spacing. hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this plant, even when it's not in bloom, the foliage provides so much interest. It has this spotted, variegated type foliage, really beautiful. And the lungwort is also in a 3-gallon container for $19.98. Here is another great dwarf sized shrub, and this is the Puxter Blue Dwarf Butterfly Bush. Pollinators absolutely love these. They have a bit of a blue-gray type foliage, and they get these really large blooms, and they smell like lilacs. I actually have 2 varieties of this growing in my garden. I have the Puxter Blue and I have the Puxter Amethyst. Now these here are kind of on the cusp of being hardy for me. I thought I lost them last year, but they came back. It's by Proven Winners. And let's see here, it is a sun part shade shrub, actually sun, it's a sun shrub. I have mine planted in full sun. It's hardy in zones 5 through 9 down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it gets to be 2 feet tall and wide. It's a petite shrub, fragrant, long blooming. It does. Once it starts going, it takes a little while. It starts blooming early summer, and once it starts going, it goes until your hard frost. And this one here is the Buddleia Puxter Blue 3-gallon container for $34.98. Lots of green giant arborvitae, and these look to be about a 4 to 5 height tree. These are more deer resistant than some of the other arborvitae, and if you're going to be planting a living fence, this is the time to get them because they're more readily available in large quantities in early spring. And the number 7 container of the green giant arborvitae are $59.98 each, but if you're buying 10 or more, you get a 10% discount at $53.98. Some viburnum that are starting to leaf out. Viburnum is also a great pollinator attracting plant. It has spring blooms, and then it also has beautiful fall color and berries. It is deer resistant. It is a part sun shrub. Blooms late spring to midsummer and needs 3 to 10 feet spacing, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And this variety here, let's see. The container's a 3-gallon for $24.98. Some variegated boxwood. And this is called Buxus variegata, $49.98 for a 3-gallon container. Let's see. It's a really interesting variety. These have like a conical shape, like a pyramid tree shape, and these would look beautiful in 2 containers flanking, say, a patio, a front porch, a garage. Really pretty. I really love the use of evergreens in containers. They're more low maintenance. You don't have to change them out frequently like you do with annuals. The thing to note about any evergreen that you're going to place in a container is that you want to have something that is 2 zones hardier than your zone. So I'm in a zone 6, which means that I'd want to pick something that's hardy to zone 4 to leave in a container over winter. So this one here says care, protect from winds. It gets to be 36 to 48 inches in height and 36 to 48 inches in width. It's got a mounded habit, but it kind of looks like it's growing in a conical shape to me. And here it is, deer resistant evergreen shrub, part sun shrub. Some Nephophia or red hot poker, and this is the Proven Winners variety called Pyromania Orange Blaze. Now these are great because they have long season of interest. At first you'll start getting this grass-like texture, which offers a lot of interest against other perennials, and at some point in the summer they will send up these beautiful spikes. And they come in different colors. This one here is an orange. I've seen some that look yellow and red, and I have a variety that's like a chartreuse color called Lucky Lady. But this orange blaze is full sun. It gets to be 24 to 30 inches in height. It's a perennial. And let's see. It gets 24 to 30 inches, and it needs minimum 18-inch spacing, hardy in zones 5 through 9 or negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And it blooms early to mid-summer. I have these partnered with or companion planted with my coneflower, and I think it provides such a beautiful contrast between the coneflowers that have the broad foliage with this grass-like texture. I really love it. Now these are $12.98. There's some Elijah Blue Fescue. Now this is a beautiful grass with a green texture. It's called Festuga glauca Blue Fescue Elijah Blue. It's deer resistant, drought tolerant, and has a clumping habit. And this is by the Vigoro brand, 1 gallon for $10.98. Look at that. Let's see the hardiness on this. So it is a early to midsummer bloomer. It doesn't bloom, it just has foliage. These spiky green grass-like texture you see here. It gets 8 inches in height, 18-inch spacing, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Another really pretty proven winners perennial in a 1-gallon container. This is called Heaven Sent Jacob's Ladder, and it has this gorgeous fern-like foliage with these purple flowers that sprout out atop the foliage. And this one's actually budded up already, has really nice texture, and these are also $12.98. And it says here they are a full sun part shade perennial that gets to be 18 to 24 inches in height. And let's see here, it has a medium height. We talked about the height. It needs 15-inch spacing, hardy in zones 3 through 7 or negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms late spring. So this is a really pretty one. And another perennial that I recently fell in love with last year, the Pincushion flower. This is Scabiosa butterfly blue. This is a pollinator magnet, and it blooms from spring through hard frost. This is a non-stop bloomer, always has new buds coming up right behind the old ones. So let's check this one out. So this is a 1-gallon container. It is a perennial, full sun, called Butterfly Blue. It gets 12 to 18 inches in height. It needs 12 to 15 inch spacing. Water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms late spring to fall. Now, from what I know about this plant, it is a short-lived perennial, which means that perennials typically come back year after year. And there are some that last for a really long time, coming back years and years on end. And then there are the short-lived perennials that might live in your garden 2, 3, 4 years and then not return. So this will be year 3 with mine. I haven't seen signs of it emerging yet, but even if it doesn't, I will repurchase it because I love it that much. Some salvia. I think this is certainly a garden staple. Bees are on my salvia all season long. And if you cut these down to the base after they have their first flush, they will rebloom for you. I made a video on a way that I like to prune my salvia to get continuous blooms throughout this summer season. You can check that out on my channel. But these here are the Salvia Bordeaux Deep Blue. It is a perennial for full sun. It gets 10 to 36 inches in height, spacing 10 to 24 inches, water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms late spring through fall. $9.98. If you ever wanted to add a tulip to your garden that deer do not touch, it's this variety here. These are a perennial type of woodland tulip. It's called Tulipa tarda, and it is a perennial bulb, full sun, $8.98 for this 1-gallon container. They get to be 6 inches in height, and they need 4-inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and they bloom late spring. I've seen them in varieties of yellow with this little bit of a cream outer edge, and I've also seen them in pink. They are a very short stature type bloom, but they are really pretty for spring color. Lupine. Look at the foliage on lupine. Just the foliage is reason enough to grow it. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you've ever noticed after a rainfall, the way that the water kind of magnifies on these leaves, absolutely stunning. And these are in their 1-quart containers, which means that they would be 3 for $12. Now, we don't know what the color is. It says it's gallery. It could be pink, it could be white, it could be purple. In my experience, they generally, I think the purple is the more dominant color in lupine. But these here, they like poor, well-draining soil. So if you are going to plant lupine, you're better off just planting it into your garden soil and not amending with any fertilizer or any compost. Because in the past, when I've grown this, it's done better when I've used no amendments when I planted my plant. But really pretty. Now, lupine can get pretty large. This one says it gets 18 to 20 inches in height, and it needs 12 to 18 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms in late spring to summer. I had a stand of these last year that I grew from seed through the winter sowing process, and these are such a beautiful companion to iris. They bloom sort of around the same time, stunning together. Beautiful. Lots and lots of annuals coming into stock as well. Here's a bunch of marigolds, and it looks like the 12-pack of annuals is $11.98. This is a really pretty yellow one. Has a little bit bigger bloom. It just says African marigold, but these are great to plant around a vegetable garden. The scent is off-putting to things like bunnies and deer, so they're supposed to be helpful in deterring pests in your garden. This is a really pretty foliage accent for your summer containers, the Dusty Miller. This one has a really pretty blue-gray foliage. It's just beautiful. So this looks like you get, let's see, it's an 8-pack for $4.98. Some bloom and drop geraniums, and these are $19.98. So there are lots of buds on these, and it looks like you can drop them in a 10 to 12 inch planter. So this is a great way to zhuzh up your patio or your porch, and easy peasy. Drop and grow. And they have some Oriental poppies. Now these are perennial, full sun. This is a just shy of a 1 gallon for $9.98. They have really pretty foliage. The thing about poppies is they do not like wet feet. I've lost a couple of these Oriental poppies because they were in a wet soil and they didn't make it through the winter. But if they do have a location that they like, such as dry, well-draining soil, these are absolutely gorgeous perennial type poppies. So it's not specifying which color you'll get, whether you'll get orange, red, or white, but it does tell you that they get 18 to 36 inches in height. They need 24 to 36 inch spacing, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and they bloom early summer through fall. I have some basket planters that I bought at the Home Depot that I get asked about all the time. They're really beautiful, so I'm going to show you those inside. But I just spotted these out in their garden center that also has that basket weave look that are really pretty. Now this is a big one, so it might be about a 20-inch container. What I like about these is they have this faux look, but they're really lightweight because they are a composite material. So it makes them really easy to move around once they're filled with soil. Now it does look like there are 2 plugs down there that you would have to open up for some drainage. So very important, anytime that you have a new container, you certainly want to have drain holes, because if your plants are sitting in wet soil, they will rot and die. And this is a bit smaller one, so this one looks like it could be maybe a 14 to 16 inch. I wish there was a price on these. I'll see if I can find something. All of their mandevilla has started to show up, and I love these. I use them a lot in my window boxes because I find that they are more drought tolerant, and so sometimes I can go a day or so in between waterings, which I really like. And I've used the pink, and last year I used the white, and I really like the white. It looks like a sunny side egg to me, sunny side up, right? The yellow yolk with the white blooms. And so these containers here are $6.98, which appears to be about $1 more than I paid last year for these containers. But they have some buds on them, and they are good to go for all of your summer blooming containers. They don't have the basket weave planter in stock that I wanted to show you that I have in my on my porch, but they have lots of different options as well. Actually, I found some outside. Now mine are more brown, where these have more of a beigey look to them, but these are them. They're the 13.5 composite woven pot. See if I can get the item number for you here. There's some information. This is the whitewash beige. And no luck getting the price on those. They're really pretty. These small Vigoro quartz are $4.98, and these are annuals. And these are the begonias. Look how beautiful this is. Gorgeous. Large shiny foliage with these roughly small blooms. Really pretty. This one's called Begonia tuberous begonia. They get to be 18 to 15 inches in height, 12 to 15 inch width, water, wind, dry, upright habit. So you need a few of these to pack into a container. But look how pretty these 2 colors look like together. Looks like a creamsicle. I really like the pink. Gorgeous. They also have yellow. But yellow's going to be a hard sell for me after I see that orange and pink. They also have white. For those of you who watch my videos, you know the music's always jamming in here. But check out this Proven Winners Dianthus. It's called Paint the Town Magenta. Also has that low-growing blue-gray foliage with these little carnation-like blooms in pink. Really pretty. So this one, it says it gets 6 to 8 inches tall. It's a full sun, part sun perennial, $12.98. Lots of pansies in their 6-pack for $8.98. There's some yellow and some really pretty lavender, pink, white colored ones. I'll show you those. These are so pretty. I don't tend to buy these because I feel like they're too short-lived, and I rather spend the money on perennials. But if you do like to do annual containers, they have them. $9.98 for this 6-pack. Really pretty. When I took you to Walmart a couple of days ago, we had seen some Japanese Pieris that was all in bloom with these beautiful little bell-shaped flowers. Now these are a late winter, early spring blooming shrub. But I also told you that the new growth on the foliage is really colorful and beautiful. And here's an example of that. This has a bunch of new growth, and it has different shades of pink and a creamy yellow and a little bit of red. They're absolutely gorgeous. So these are a multi-interest type shrub. So this here is a Japanese Pieris Forest Flame. It has attractive foliage. It gets to be 10 to 14 feet in height, and it blooms mid to late spring. It needs 8 to 10 feet spacing, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is a great evergreen shrub. Now in my zone, I did have a little bit of die off on my blooms because we had a 3 to 4 night stretch of sub-zero temperatures, so it killed off all my blooms. But my shrub is still alive. I'm going to fertilize it, and hopefully we'll get these beautiful blooms next year. Now the blooms come in different colors. This one's white. I have 2 that have pink blooms, and I've even seen them in shades of magenta and red. But this foliage is stunning. If I didn't give it to you already, it's $24.98 for a 2-gallon container. Some woolly thyme. So if you have some pavers or somewhere where you want to grow these, either over a wall or between the crevices of some bricks or some pavers, this is a great option. They're good for walking paths where you might have some flagstone or stepping stones. So the woolly thyme is a ground cover. It likes full sun, and these are $9.98 for this just shy of a 1-gallon container, and it's fragrant, and I'm pretty sure that it has a small bloom, about 99% sure, but let me know in the comments if you know if woolly thyme blooms. But it does have a really pretty fuzzy texture. And it's almost peony season. I say peony, you might say peony, but whatever you call them, they are gorgeous. These are beautiful, long-lived heirloom type plants. This variety here is called the Carl Rosenfeld. It is a full sun perennial. It's clumping, it's deer resistant. It's one bloom. I've never had problems with deers in my garden. They never touch these. They're so fragrant. Really, really beautiful blooms. They bloom early spring to summer. This variety here gets 30 to 36 inches in height, needs 36 to 48 inch spacing, and it is hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the thing with these herbaceous peonies is that they do need support because of the weight of the blooms being so large. They will flop over. So they sell these things that are like peony rings that you can put up once you start seeing them emerge from the soil, and that will give your plant some support. You can even make some out of bamboo and some string, but they do need support. Now the Ito peonies are a cross between the herbaceous and the tree, so they are a bit more sturdy. And then of course the tree peony being the gold standard, they're nice and sturdy and beautiful, but quite expensive. They have these beautiful golden emerald arborvitae called Jantar. Has a nice golden yellow color. You can use this as a standalone, as a specimen in your garden, or you can plant them in a drift. Combos of 3 or 5 would look really pretty. These get to be 10 to 15 feet in height. They say that they're evergreen. They do not have a sign of being deer resistant, so tread lightly with these if you do have deer. They get to be 4 to 5 feet tall. They're hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit and water 2 to 3 times per week until established. Now, arborvitae do like lots of water, especially when they're new, so you do want to keep them well hydrated. This container here is a 3-gallon for $34.98. And of course, they have lots of beautiful flowering trees and ornamental trees and shade trees. So we'll take a look at a handful now. Here's a Japanese flowering cherry Kwanzan. It's a full sun tree, and it gets to be 20 to 25 feet tall. It's a garden showpiece. Blooms mid to late spring, needs 20 feet spacing, and hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Now this one is all budded up and will bloom shortly. And let's see how much these are. $84.98 for the cherry trees in this number 7 containers. A river birch. Now these are wonderful if you have a problem area in your garden that gets really wet and has sitting water. These are a great problem solver tree. I actually planted one of these in my garden last year, a heritage river birch. This one here has a 3 or a multi trunk, and they have beautiful winter interest with its peeling bark. This one here gets to be 40 to 5 feet in height. 40 to 50 feet in height. It is hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Really pretty. And this birch here is a 15-gallon container for $120. I'm sorry, are we in Washington, D.C.? No, we're in Massachusetts. But look at this gorgeous cherry tree. This is a Yoshino cherry that is in full bloom. It starts off with a really pretty, dainty pink bloom that ages to this gorgeous white color. Look at this. Absolutely beautiful. I planted one of these in my garden last year, and I can't wait to see it mature. So this is a Yoshino cherry, which is a full sun tree. It gets to be 25 to 40 feet tall, and it blooms early to late spring, and it needs 25-foot spacing, hardy to negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit, likes well-drained soil and water new transplants. So let's see what size this is. These are, let's see, a number 10 gallon container for $110. I planted some of this Juniper Golden Joy in my garden maybe 2 years ago. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous color. They have an arching, branching habit. This shrub here is deer resistant, which is wonderful because I have them planted on the side of the house that they like to visit. And it's an evergreen that gets to be 36 inches in height, full sun, and it needs 48-inch spacing, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at this foliage. It's like a blue-green with yellow tips, stunning. And this here is a number 3 container, the Juniper Golden Joy, for $26.98. And a shrub that I've been after for a couple of years, and I bought it in my last trip to Home Depot a few weeks ago. The Dwarf Cryptomeria globosa nana has this beautiful globe circular type shape, looks like a ball, and it gets to be 24 to 36 inches in height. It is deer resistant. It likes part sun. And it gets to be 30 to 42 inches in width, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. This has a really pretty shape. Let me see if I can show you that. Look at that. And this is a number 3 container for $34.98. As part of their Spring Black Friday sale, they also have mulch on sale. Now there's this Vigoro Premium Wood Mulch that is on sale 3 for $10. But I'm going to show you the one that I prefer and why. Now here's the one that I prefer. It's the Earth Grow by Scott's Black Mulch. It has 12 months color advantage, and the reason I like this one is because I find that the wood is shredded a bit finer. Some of the other bagged mulches I find have really chunky pieces of wood, and this variety here I find to be a bit more shredded, so I really enjoy that. And I do like the black because I feel like it sets off my plants and makes them pop so nicely. This one is a little bit smaller. It's 1.5 cubic feet versus the Vigoro that is 2 cubic feet. And this one here is on sale 5 for $10. The sale is on all 3 colors, so it comes in red, in brown, and in black, and it runs $4.13 through $4.23. The fact that we can still buy bagged mulch 5 for $10 with the inflation, I was certain that this sale wouldn't happen this year, so I am pretty excited that it did. So here's my haul. I'm picking up 3 of these Elijah Blue Fescue grasses and 3 of this Proven Winners Heaven Sent Jacob's Ladder. And let's not forget, it's spring, so some mulch. 20 bags of the Scott's Earth Grow mulch. This means I have a busy weekend ahead of me. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. As always, thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.